Today on Toy Habits Reviews, we have the Masterverse Ice Empress of Etheria and her MOTU Classics counterpart on the examination table. And before we get into the review, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you can be alerted to the latest reviews, news, and episodes when they drop. Hey everyone, welcome back to Toy Habits, and we are coming at you from our examination room. I'm Michael, and with me is my collector in crime, Larry, and today we are taking a detailed look at the Masters of the Universe Masterverse Princess of Power Frosta and comparing her to her MOTU Classics counterpart. And again, I was so excited to get her out of the box, but in post-production we will show you her pack out. But yeah, she comes in the Princess of Power subline packaging, and I think one of my favorite aspects of this box is her conjuring up a frozen He-Man.
Oh yeah, that's super cool. I haven't seen the artwork on this. That's cool. That's
Yeah.
a fun it's a fun, kind of thing to do with the art. I like that.
Oh yeah, I thought it was neat, and yeah, she has more of her Masterverse look on the side with her frost or ice effect and her
Mhm.
staff.
Yeah, I like the art on that a lot. I like the kind of the ice, crystals and things behind her, and just the coloring of it's really cool. And as far as the front of the package, I'm really glad that they're doing kind of the different logos and things
Yeah.
on the box. I think that'll be cool, a couple of years down the road when you've got some of these sublines built out a little bit more.
All right, well, Frosta is already out of the box, so let's take a closer look at her. All right, now we can get a closer look at Frosta, and she does come with color changing hair, and we'll show you that in a bit. But I think her hair sculpt is really nice, but I think it, like the classics version, it definitely impedes her neck articulation.
I will say though that like her neck kind of looks long enough that it doesn't make it look awkward as much as the classics figures, because I feel
Yeah.
like the classics figures the neck wasn't quite long enough where not only were you limited by kind of the hair part of the head sculpt, but you also had a short neck, so you just don't have as much room to work with in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's hard because I guess without rooted hair, you can't really pose the figure how you want it or like turn it side to side. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, her face actually looks very beautiful. They actually did her makeup really well on this one.
Yeah, I think it's cool. She has a personality. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not like her face resembles Evil Lynn or
Right.
Tila or some of the other female characters. So I think that's good. If they're doing a good job with unique faces, and so far I haven't seen any that are just like, oh man, that one didn't come out right.
Yeah, it'd be funny if they slapped on just like Evelyn or Tila and just put blue hair on. Be
Yeah,
like,
you're like these twins or
yeah.
what's
But yeah, she does come with a soft goods cape, and just like how the Skelosorceress was packed, they taped down the soft goods cape so you don't get the holes in it. So I actually like that they're doing that.
Yeah, it seems like if there's more than one figure coming like that, that is probably a change that they've made, and that's cool that they're listening to those things. So
Yeah. And her outfit is cool. It's just like a deep blue with white accents. It's a very simple design, and there's like a blue jewel in the middle of her chest. So you can maybe move her hair and kind of see more of her outfit design.
yeah, like the skirt piece like a kind of creamier
Hmm.
white, a lot to kind of match the boots and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Yep.
Yeah. It's like a, I don't know, like up close, it's more of like a shimmery kind of color.
Like a
But yeah, it's definitely.
pearlized or pearlescent kind of thing.
Yeah, and I do like that. Her skirt is a little malleable, so if you actually want to pose her legs, you can actually move them pretty well.
Yeah, put her in like a fighting stance or something where,
Yeah,
yeah, that's cool. Because yeah, if that's kind of a harder plastic piece, yeah, then you really limit the mobility, for doing any kind of posing. So
yeah, and the bracers are pretty. They're pretty basic. There's just some little sculpting detail on, kind of where they might connect, where
mhm.
she might put them on, but that's pretty much it. And it's kind of a similar color to her other parts of her kind of white outfit.
Yeah, no, they look cool. I mean, they look unique, so I think that's a cool aspect. Yeah, overall, I think I like the colors a lot. I think they did a good job with the colors look natural. I think they look good for Frosta. So
Yeah, and like her legs actually look better than the Skella Sorceress because I think it looks like she's just wearing one bodysuit, and so
yeah,
it makes sense that she'd be wearing maybe dark blue leggings underneath her boots. Yeah, again, same color as her skirt and the other parts of her. But I mean, all around, it's a cool figure, and I think it's actually great to see more Princess of Power figures in the line, and hopefully we'll get more of these just to build it out some more.
I think it's really hard to get a good feel for these lines until you get, 4 or 5 characters, to be able to stand together as a group to really, see how they're going to look on the shelf and kind of decide what your display is going to look like.
Yeah, and she's got an interesting pack out. She does come with a couple extra hands, and again, it's like the more like the spell casting hands on her extra hands, which is cool.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. Do you think it would have been cool if they would have done like a hand with like an ice effect coming like as part of the hand?
That would be interesting. Although she does come with a nice effect that you can put on her hand, and so, but yeah, maybe like extending like from instead of something that you would put in her hand, like something like extending off of her hand.
Yeah, I just wonder, because I don't know. I guess either way, it's all just different accessories. But I just wondered if I think it's cool to have like an ice effect like that to kind of put over the top. It's like a blast effect, really.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it looks good.
yeah. The ice effect looks cool and actually slips on her hand pretty well. You can actually put it on her closed fist, which is nice. So
And it stays put like
hmm
does it fit pretty well and
yeah,
snug? Okay.
yeah, it's nice, and you don't. It's I think it's cool that you don't have to change out the hands if you want to put her ice effect on
hmm
there. So, but yeah, one problem with these is just getting them to stand, as you probably noticed.
Yeah, well, and then if like with the ice effect, then yeah, you're throwing off the balance
Oh, that's right.
more. So that's yeah,
Maybe we'll tilt her
it makes
back
it
a little
tough.
bit. But yeah, and then she does come with her staff, which actually it is like once I got it in hand, it is kind of cheap looking and cheap feeling, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah, I think some things like that it's hard to make them. I mean, you're just trying to make it look like how it's supposed to look. So at some point, there's not a lot you can do to kind of counteract that, so it doesn't come across kind of cheap looking. So
Yeah,
they probably did the best they could with it. I don't remember being super impressed with the classics one either. So
yeah. But actually, speaking of classics, before we dive into the comparison, let's put Frosta through the Etheria Ice Bucket Challenge. And I cannot take credit for that one. I was chatting with Jay from the Pride of Grayskull on Instagram, and he was like, we were trying to figure out, uh, you know, with her color changing hair. Like I had never heard that she had color changing hair, and apparently it was in the descriptions on Amazon and like where you could buy these, but I never watched these. I never read the descriptions of the figures.
I really don't either because most of the time they don't have accurate information anyway, so I just
Right.
don't really pay much attention to them. And a lot of times it's just generic, especially with Origins, it's just a generic like, information about the line or whatever. So I didn't remember seeing anything about that either.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do is just pop her head off, and well, that kind of sounds weird. And put her head in icy water and see if we can actually see the color change on camera. So
You just gonna drop her in like an Alka-Seltzer tablet?
yeah.
Pop pop fizz fizz.
Yes, and I think I'm going to leave that in there. All right, we have Frosta's head off, and I do have some ice water just to see if we can see if her hair actually changes color on camera. And I've done this a couple times, and the color change is very subtle, but it actually looks
It
darker
does. Yeah,
now.
I would say it's getting darker.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know how much I will do this because it really makes a mess with everything. Like now I gotta get my hands wet. And, actually, what we will do is put a picture of a side by side comparison in post editing, just so you could see what it looks like side by side. But I mean, it does look darker. Like her parts up here
Oh
are
yeah.
not light anymore.
Yeah, no, it definitely looks darker. The only thing about it to me is even if you were trying to get pictures, like to me, it's gonna be tough to get her dried off enough to put her head back on the body before it starts changing back, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. So maybe we'll just have to, be
Yeah,
like the Salem witch trials,
yep.
Dunker. But no, it is quite a mess, and I actually don't. I never have waited for her hair to dry anyway before putting all this stuff back on. So maybe we'll just do that. But yeah, I guess since her head is off, you can kind of get a better look at what the figure buck looks like too.
Yeah, I think they're doing a good job with the female characters for Masterverse. I think they're really coming out really well.
Yeah, I like the rings that they put on here because it's actually pretty easy to get them popped back on, and
Mhm.
sometimes with the ice, I don't know what that does to the peg.
Oh yeah.
Going back in. Oh, there we go. All right, wasn't too bad. So we can actually take a look at her classics figure side by side now, which is actually pretty cool. And I actually didn't realize how gray Frosta in classics was until I put them side by side.
And man, that face sculpt on the classics figure, it looked bad there, back then. But comparing it to this one, it's like night and day.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because like I thought she looked cool, but when this came out, I was like, okay, she looks kind of derpy now. She just kind of
Yeah.
has a weird look on her face.
Yeah, it's definitely a strange face sculpt.
But yeah, I mean, very similar design wise to her costume. I think just some embellishments on the classics figure just because they were just a premium line at the time.
And
But literally, it's pretty much an exact match costume wise.
yeah, I would say that the staff and the shield are probably better for classics. That
Yeah,
that staff, looking at it now, I think they did a better job with a staff for classics
yeah,
than the new one. But and yeah, and I like the shield too. I think it's got a cool look to it. But I think it's the head sculpt to me is so much better on the new one.
yeah. Definitely, yeah, I agree. It's much more pleasant, and she just looks less like mean and angry.
Yeah, yeah, she does. It just looks more like a natural a natural face than the other one does. It does. You can see how much more like kind of limiting the classic head sculpt is because of the way that hair falls,
Yeah,
and there's just not much room for any kind of up and down movement or doing any kind of too much posing with it.
yeah, and actually, it looks like they had fixed that, kind of making her hair in two pieces here. So at least
Mhm.
with the mobility issues that I had in the beginning, it's definitely light years beyond the classics figure.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and you can see her hair is already quite a bit lighter.
Oh yeah.
You can see kind of that lightness kind of popping through there. So
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's funny. I guess maybe if you want to do this on your shelf, just maybe get a Q-tip or something and dip it in icy water, and then you can just kind of brush it on and see. But I don't know. The difference is very subtle. So
yeah, yeah, it's cool. I mean, I don't. Yeah, like you said, it's probably not going to get a lot of use, but it's a cool thing that it's there.
yeah. And then I think my comments are just about how cheap this one looks is just maybe compared to the classics one, just because
Yes.
it's something that it looks like you get out of like a Cracker Jack box or something.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Now that I get a good look at the classics one next to it, it's yeah, they probably should have tried to mimic that one a little bit better.
Yeah.
It's a lot more substantial, you know.
Yeah, and with somebody like Frosta, maybe they could have done a little better on her staff. But actually, speaking of substantial, we were talking about this earlier. It's funny, the male Masterverse figures are much larger than their classics counterparts, but with the female characters, The Masterverse characters are actually much smaller in stature and in height.
To me, the bodies look more natural. Like they just look a lot better on the shelf, I think. And I actually think it's cool to have those size differences, of course, in the figures.
Yeah, actually, here I can grab a Stratos and take him
Yeah,
off the shelf, and you can see more of a difference in just how what the size comparisons are from just across the years and across the lines.
yeah. I think it's cool seeing them next to each other. Just that's difference in size just makes the display look a lot more natural to me.
Definitely. All right, well, that wraps up our review of Masterverse Frosta from the Princess of Power subline. So let us know what you think about the figure in the comments below. Will you be color changing her hair constantly? Inquiring minds. I'm Michael,
And I'm Larry.
and thanks for dropping into the Toy Habits examination room.